Alrighty. Hello. Can everybody see me okay? Can you hear me okay? Hello. Welcome. I can't spell. More smiley. We're happy. We're happy to be here, right? Happy to be here. So this is a preface. This is a preface. A pretty face. Today, and for the next hopefully month, we're going to go over this book. You see it in camera there? This camera? All the cameras. This book, Tonal Harmony, by Stephen Kostka and Dorothy Payne. So I'm going to try to teach you guys what I learned in music college. All 4 semesters, for free. Coming from me, your friendly local neighborhood Sonamor. I'm going to try my best. It was a pain in the butt to get all these cameras set up and all that. So hopefully all this stuff works. I'm routing it through like 4 different programs. Hopefully it doesn't crash. I have like pretty much literally every single USB that my computer has is full. So we ready. We in this, boys. I'm going to basically, in this video, give a preface of what's to come in the next series of videos. I'm going to give a nice little table of contents for what this book is kind of offering. And then I'm going to go through chapter by damn chapter and show y'all exactly what's going on in music theory. So if you're a type of person who kind of plays guitar or plays piano, whatever, and they're just like playing and they don't really know what chords they're playing, they don't know what's going on, they're memorizing pitches, you're memorizing fret numbers, you're memorizing that kind of stuff, this is for you. This is to teach people music theory. And I know that scares away a lot of people, but it shouldn't. A lot of people say that music theory is something that'll make you more of a bland player. It makes you sound like everybody else. That's not true. I don't think that's true at all. A lot of people are scared that if they learn music theory, they'll lose their original sound. Newsflash, you never had an original sound to begin with. So, the thing that music theory does is categorize the things that you already know. It categorizes the things you already know, so you know how to organize them and piece them together. To explain it a little further, any pop tune that you hear is basically a stretched out, repeating version of like 5 seconds of a classical tune. There's more work in one bar, like one bar of Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. I hate pronouncing it like that, but that's the right way, Bach. One bar of Bach is worth like 13 minutes of a pop tune, I swear. I swear to you. What these popular music people are doing is they're taking like simple patterns and just stretching them out. Like they'll just repeat that for like so many bars, and then they'll rap over it or sing over it, and then the bridge section will be like freaking. Then it'll go right back to the chorus, or whatever it is. And if you don't know what any of that is, if you don't know that's just like 2-5-1, repeating. If you don't know that's a Neapolitan to a 6 to a 4, then back to the dominant and back to the 1, like, if that stuff sounds complicated to you, I promise you it's not. I promise you it's not. And they're tricking you. They're making you think that their freaking amazing pop tune is well written. It's ripped off. I'm telling you, dude. Okay, anyway. So yeah, learning this book, learning classical music and the way that it's written is the same as learning karate or ballet if you're a dancer. A lot of people will tell you that karate is useless for dancing and ballet is dancing for sissy. I mean, karate is useless for dancing. Karate is useless for martial arts, and that ballet is useless unless you're dancing classically, which is not true. The positions in ballet, whatever, first position, second position, all that, relates to the most common key frames that you'll see dancers hit. Those the most common poses that they hit. And they link them together in special ways. Even ballet dancers, they go to the trouble of like your hand position, like how your hand is shaped when you put it up into different positions, whatever. So like even karate, they'll go to the trouble of naming all these different positions. They name the positions. Excuse me while I knock everything over. They'll name different positions, and these positions, while they look useless by themselves, if you actually look at them within a context of a martial arts fight, or you'll see them popping up everywhere. It's an amazing addition to the stuff you already know. They'll tell you karate doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work by itself. It's an addition. It's the same thing you see these Wing Chun people. They hit the blocks of wood. Of course this shit doesn't work by itself. But if you add it to boxing, if you'll start to realize these positions will pop up everywhere. When you see untrained martial artists, they're just people who fight for fun, whatever the hell. They're just swinging. Technically, a boxer can categorize that as a right hook with a slip, left hook with a slip, right hook with a slip, left hook with a slip. Technically, that's what it is. So it's just a way of categorizing the stuff you already know. Anyhow, I'm straying. What I'd like to go through is the preface and the table of contents. I'm going to try to teach you exactly what I learned in my 4 semesters in music college. Now, this book comes with a workbook. You can probably find all that on my website. I'll leave links and all that somewhere. I'll leave them somewhere in the description or on my website, somewhere in there. Hopefully I don't get sued by Dorothy Payne and Stefan Kostka. Sorry, buddies. But I got this book for freaking like $11 shipped to my house from Amazon, so y'all can go to Amazon and buy the real stuff. But I mean, anyway, it's a great book, but without people to teach you I don't know. I don't know how anybody would go through this without a helping hand. So here I am, a helping hand. The workbook's really good. It has extensive examples. They come with CDs, if anybody even uses a CD player anymore. Comes with CDs with like audio examples. Not all the examples are great. I mean, they're great examples, but the snippets themselves could use like they'll give you like 6 measure, like incomplete phrases. It's hard to explain if you haven't already gone through the book to understand why the examples are more challenging than they need to be. Anyhow, I'm going to go through the book and try to simplify it, the whole thing, and kind of, I don't want to use the word dumb it down, but try to make it more digestible for people. All right. We jumping in, boys. We jumping in. So the preface of this, I don't know if you can you see this? Can you see all this right here? Probably not. It's not too important. I'll zoom in when the important stuff comes up. Or I'll draw my own little version on here. preface, we got the approach. I almost forgot. I'm even going to simplify this further. Let's go here and let's go. So last year I devised this scheme. An Ed, Ed, and Eddie scheme. No, it's just a way that I wanted to break down. Surely you can see this, right? This is the original table of contents. There's about 20 so chapters, and they're broken down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sections. In my college class, my semesters, they broke this down into 4 semesters. So they grouped 2 of these. I believe it was these 2 right here. From 3 and 4 to 4 and 5 were semesters 3 and 4. So the first semester was just fundamentals. The second semester was like part writing, introduction to part writing. The third semester was like applied dominance. The fourth semester was chromaticism and breaking into the 21st century, like advanced concepts. So the first semester was basically like, now this is my kind of dumbing down. So the first and second semesters, they're just kind of teaching you fundamentals along the x-axis, which is rhythm, and the y-axis, which is harmony. Then they kind of go into chords and voice leading and stuff like that. I believe the first semester only dealt with the major scale, and then the second semester they start to introduce the minor scale, which, little surprise, whatever, spoiler, they're pretty much the same scale. Just has a leading tone. Like the minor scale kind of, sort of doesn't have a leading tone. It does, but it doesn't. They show you the importance of a leading tone. And then they start to teach you applied dominance, the 5. So over here they teach you the tonic and the dominant. And then over here they show you how the dominant can be applied to any chord, which pretty much, it's like setting rules for yourself and then breaking those rules completely. They show you the rules and you have to stick to them, and it's super boring. And then they show you how to break those rules the right way. So here they teach you about the applied dominance in the form, and then in the 21st century, the final semester, they teach you how to break all of that. They teach you how to break free from all that. It's like some advanced Wagner type stuff. It's crazy. Anyhow, we go through this piece by piece. I'm going to leave this up. The approach, I'm just going to go through page by page. Approach, the way that, and I'm going to simplify. I ain't going to read all this stuff. Not only do I not want to get hit with a copyright bullshit for reading, which is so stupid, get copyright for reading, but it's a little complicated if I just read it. Like, Tonal harmony with an introduction to 20th century music is intended for a 2-year course in music theory harmony. Like, nobody wants to hear that shit. So I'm going to simplify all this. So this is basically what I said. Tonal harmony, it's intended for the 2-year college course. This is a book that they used when I went to college. I got lucky. Dr. Charles P. Turan II, he was about to finish his 30th year teaching. So 30th year, think about that. If theory 1 through 4 takes 2 years to finish, he was on his 15th group of students, and we were the 15th group. He was sharpened by the time that we got there, all right? That shit was amazing. Dr. Turan, if you're watching this, thank you so much. You're the best teacher that I ever had, ever. That being said, there are definitely a bunch of teachers that aided me throughout my entire school career, but Dr. Turan was by far the most accomplished, like clear. He showed me how to teach. He taught me how to teach myself, if that makes sense. I had a bunch of great teachers, but damn, Dr. Turan was just like, oof. And we had them on his final year. Oh, God, it was beautiful. Even then. So this is my first run through teaching this stuff. Even then, I know I'm going to make mistakes teaching this stuff. But even then, he said he did it 15 years, and with 14 repetitions of this stuff and all the schooling that he went through, he said he still is not sure that he's teaching it correctly. So that goes to testify how difficult it is to truly wrap your head around this kind of stuff. So if you're having trouble with this, it's completely normal. This is something that everybody has trouble with, but I promise it's going to be worth it if you stick through till the end of all these chapters. If you truly want to learn something and you put your mind to it and you dedicate yourself to it, you will come out very successful. All right. The approach of this book, pretty much they break it down. Just like I said, they try to do like a rolling Katamari style, where one lesson applies to the next. It's like a comprehensive type thing. They don't just throw everything against you at the wall. It's organized in a certain type of way to lead you from the beginning to the end. They start easy and then they end difficult. It's designed to teach you. Features of this book, like I said, they got a workbook. I highly recommend it. They also got like little after each chapter, they have like little mini tests of what the workbook eventually shows you. And they're really, really good. You can buy the old workbooks for probably like freaking dirt cheap. This is the 5th edition. And when I went to school like 10 years ago, this shit was like $11 total for this whole book. I know math books that last 2 years that are worth like $200+. So go on Amazon, get you a used old edition, and freaking go ham, dude. Tonal harmony, it's legit. Here, organization, already told you. Part 1, it says it's all fundamentals. Part 2 is voice leading. Part 3 is devoted entirely to 7th chords, diatonic 7th chords. Part 4 is a study of chromaticism with secondary functions. That's applied dominance. Part 5 is more chromaticism part 2. And then part 6 is like the launch pad into the 20th century, whatever. So, that being said, I tried to organize it into 4 giant parts. Actually, 3 giant parts. Fundamentals and chords, applied dominance, which is huge. And then this last part is kind of optional. Almost. The end half is optional. The 20th century stuff is optional. But this Neapolitan chord and augmented 6th chord, those are important, man. Those are really important. And modes are to me, modes were one of the most important things. Modes became, not at the time, but modes slowly became the building block, especially of guitar. Learning how to go through scales and all that stuff, I would not be able to do all this stuff without modes. I would not be able to memorize the fretboard or understand the fretboard without modes. I'm not entirely sure how it translates to piano, but I'm sure it translates somehow. I'm not a pianist myself. More of a guitarist and a singer. So yeah. Sorry, I might accidentally hit the keys every once in a while. Freaking, it's like right next to me. To the student, they encourage you to keep going. They encourage you to study the roots of Western music and Asian music. They say that the roots of this book is like mostly in Western music. That's kind of the angle that they're teaching from, because Asian music is like, Eastern music, whatever. They study different concepts. They're kind of the same, but they have different fundamentals. Like Indian music focuses a lot on rhythm. Anyhow, harmony is the sound that results when two or more pitches are performed simultaneously. It is the vertical aspect of music, produced by the combination of the components of the horizontal aspect. So when you combine two different horizontal lines, at any point, maybe I could draw this for you. When you combine different horizontal lines, Control Z that. Let's say you have two different lines of music going like that. At any point, when you take a snapshot, those vertical lines are forming some type of chord. So when you have a line going like up, and when you have a line going down, when you have a line going across, any snapshot of a vertical line is a chord. Turns out there's only like 7 of them. 3 are major, 3 are minor, and 1 is terrible. Simple as that. If it's not one of those 6/7, probably a chromatic whatever applied dominant. And another trick, the 3 major ones are relative to the 3 minor ones. So there's technically only 3 chords. You got your 1 chord, your 4 chord, and your 5 chord. And then you're back to the 1 chord. It's either your tonic, your dominant, or your tonic. If it's not one of those 2, it's technically a 4 chord. Pretty much that simple. You got your tonic, your dominant. Anything else in between is a blurry 4 chord. If it's a 2, it's a 3, it's a 4. You're pretty much leading up to the 4 chord. 5, 5, 5, 1. So that whole thing is 1, 5, 1, 4, 4, 4, 5, 1. Even though it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. All this stuff. That's just a blurry 4. It's a blurry 4 leading to a 5. You feel me? All right. This is what's crazy. Example 1. Right off the bat, they throw a Bach. They throw some Bach at you. You ain't gonna read. You ain't gonna be able to read that. That's what I'm talking about these examples. They're good, but how are you gonna throw Bach right at the first example, man? All right. It'll probably be easier if you hear it. Man, Dr. Tehran was awesome. He would be able to play all this shit on the piano. He could play all this shit. I can't read piano. There's no way in hell I can play this on the guitar. So, sorry. But yeah, they use this as an example to show you that because Bach is so good he takes care of every single voice. He will take care of every single voice, the soprano, alto, the tenor, and the bass. He will take care of all of those. Every detail to every single note of every single line. He'll treat them as one unified voice. Like the bass sounds good by itself. The tenor sounds good by itself. The alto sounds good by itself. The soprano sounds good by itself. They all sound good by themselves. And then when you combine them vertically, they hit a bunch of chords that's just... And even then, so when he combines them vertically, all of the chords make sense from one to the next. He's not jumping from one chord to some random chord. It's crazy how good Bach is. The more you study his music, the more you be like, dude, this dude is untouchable. Untouchable. Anyway, Bach is amazing. And then they give you a nice little Debussy cloud. La Cathédrale. They go on to define tonal harmony. And it's pretty much saying that this entire book is devoted to mostly just harmony. It's not dealing with that much of rhythm. It's trying to get you to understand how notes gel together in space, how they gel, how chords are selected and how chords are connected. So they introduce you to what's called a tonal center, which is your one. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do. It's your one. Everything is built basically around a tonal center. If you don't know where your one is, if you don't know where the do is, you're lost. The guideposts that we would always be encouraged to learn are the 1 and the 5. They talk about tertian harmony, which is pretty much built upon thirds. So a 1, 3, and a 5. That's right here. You got this right here. Your 1, 3, and your 5. Then your next one will be up here. Technically 8. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can hear it right there. That's a 7th chord. You can hear how jazzy and full it sounds. That was nice. But a tertian chord only has 3 notes built on thirds. It's very pure sound. It's very pure sound, tertian chords. All right. Then they kind of bring up the example of the dominant chord, which I already brought up. If you listen to that, they encourage you to feel where it wants to go. Where it wants to go. Back to the 1. Back to the 1. They're trying to introduce you to tonic to dominant before they actually teach you about it. All right. How to use this text? Again, they give you the self-test at the end of the chapter. They give you which is just like a checklist of things, important things in the chapter that's nice to memorize. They give you a bunch of exercises that's super good for like practicing the understanding of the concepts, the application of what you just learned. Checkpoints. I guess these checkpoints are like memory joggers, whatever that means. They give you some recordings and web-based resources. Now, I never got no web-based resources, but whatever. I guess they got a website too. mhhe.com/tonalharmony5. Probably that shit is gone now. They're probably on freaking edition 11 or some shit. I don't even know. Anyhow, table of contents. I'm going to go through this. Guitar down for a second. So, you can see over here, you can't see on the screen here. Yeah, it's a little white on the OBS here. But that's okay. Can you see? Oh man, it's a lot better now. That's a lot better now. That's whatever. I'll put this like this. There we go. You can kind of see it. Maybe go like this. Ooh, fancy. Maybe if I take out the background here. Just a solid black color. Probably that'll do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. All right. You can see this a little better now. So, table of contents, part 1, fundamentals. They got chapter 1, elements of pitch. See right here. I'm telling you, I got myself from 2023. Where are we at? Summer of 2023, I was supposed to do this. I'm just getting to it. Part 1 is pitch. Got the keyboard, octaves, registers, notation on the staff, the major scale, major key signatures, minor scales, minor key signatures, scale degree names, intervals. Fuck that. I'm not going to go through all this shit. I'll go through here. Go through the basic version of it. Chapter 1 is pitch. It's the x-axis. They show you the x-axis here is pitch, and then I guess a little bit of rhythm, the y-axis. Then they got triads and seventh chords. Those are the basic things I showed you on the guitar. Then diatonic chord scales. So that's kind of like, it's like a scale, except if you build a chord on each note of the scale. Section 2 has what's called voice leading. If you've never heard of voice leading, it's the way that notes flow from one note to the next. So if you have, let's say, a male voice and a female voice on top, the way that the male voice flows from one note to the next is sort of dictated by a certain set of rules. Same with the female voice. And it all depends on kind of what chord you want to imply. So one thing that we're taught is the leading tone. The leading tone always leads to the tonic. That's why they call it a leading tone, because it leads. And you never want to frustrate the leading tone. You never want to make the leading tone go to a place other than where it's pointing, because you're going against the whole intention of the leading tone. You're going against its function, which is okay if that is your intent. Again, they show you the rules and then they show you how to break the rules. So, and then they go into part writing. So it's to show you how to write for, I think, 3 voices and 4 voices. And they go into progressions. They show you what chords typically lead to the next chords, because it turns out that everybody already figured all this shit out. Certain chords like to flow in an order to other chords. And if they don't flow, you can use something called first inversion or second inversion to kind of cheat your way from one chord to the next without necessarily following all of the rules. It gives you a small introduction on how you can game the system. It's really cool. Just by flipping a chord upside down, just by flipping a chord, instead of going from here, you go from here. By using this type of inversion, you can kind of get away with scalular type. So I just went from the 1 chord to the 4 chord there, and it sounded fine. But if you were to use something like a regular root position chord, a non-inverted chord, sounds fine, but technically you're using something called parallel fifths, which makes it sound like there's only one voice, which kind of goes against the whole damn purpose of tonal harmony, because you want it to sound like 3 voices. You want to have each voice to be taken care of. You don't want to have 2 voices sound the same. You want each voice to be treated like its own individual child with its own individual needs. Don't neglect them. Then they go into cadences, phrases, and periods, which in my opinion could be expanded hard. They didn't really show us how songs were built, if that makes any sense. Like the structure, the overall song, the structure of a song. But that's because, again, it's only going through tonal harmony. It's not teaching you how a song is built. It's not a songwriting class. It's a part writing class. It teaches you how chords are selected and then how they're connected. 11 and 12 are kind of intermediate chapters. They're transitional chapters which deal with non-chord tones. Non-chord tones are beautiful. Non-chord tones are the way you can add spice to the music, so it doesn't just sound like basic 1s and 4s. It's really cool. Non-chord tones are actually essential in writing any type of, but believe it or not, whether you think you're not using non-chord tones or not, you are. It's how to write melodies. We'll get there when we get there. They're amazing. Non-chord tones are amazing. There's also something called non-chord chords. It's cool. So that's the end of part 1 and 2. Now it kind of breaks out of the whole little fundamental beginner area and starts going into applied dominance, which is like, it takes these concepts that you learn in the second chapter, and it teaches you how to fold it over on itself. It's like, what do they call that thing in math? Come on, I took math for a subscript, superscript. It's a superscript. It's like an exponential type dealio. You can have a tonic and a dominant, and then you can have a dominant of the dominant. So the dominant leads to the tonic, and then the dominant of the dominant leads to the dominant. So it's like another level. It's like a third level. Like level 2 leads to level 1, and then level 3 leads to level 2. It's a way to like extend the combo. If you're familiar with fighting games, extend the combo. They start you off with the dominant of the dominant, and then the dominant of the submedian, blah, 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 blah. They introduce 1 chord, and then they introduce 2 chords, and then they introduce 4 more chords. And that, in and of itself, shows you how to use chromaticism. So this whole first kind of half This whole first half with just the fundamentals and the chords is just major and minor scales. It's just the 7 notes. Seven notes. Just the 7 notes. When they introduce chromaticism, it shows you how to add those other 4 hidden notes to lead to 12 or 11, whatever. 11 unique chromatic notes. So it shows you how to use the notes in between in a clever way, in a proper way. A lot of people think chromaticism is just going right up and down the, like one by one, like this. But it's not. It's not always. You don't always have to go just. Chromaticism is so much deeper than that. It's a way to add leading tones in the middle of a scale. It doesn't always have to be T-Do. It doesn't always have to be that. It can be like. Did you hear that? It's leading tones. Leading tones. Anyhow. Oh, right here. They show you dominants and leading tones. Yeah. Modulations and tonicization. So then it goes into the difference between just implying a different key signature to a full-blown key change. And they are different. They are different. A full-blown key change is like a set in stone. Hey, we're changing the tone, the tone. We're changing the tonic of the song. It's no longer in A major. It's in B major. We're going up a whole step. Period. That's a modulation. That's a key change. A tonicization is just a temporary visit. It's like a field trip. A little vacation. It's not a staycation. You just vacation and then you come back. You just if you're in A major, maybe you want to visit F minor for a little bit. Maybe you want to visit C major for a little bit. But you'll come back. Come back to that A major. There's a difference between vacationing, which is tonicizing, and moving completely, which is modulating. They go into some advanced baloney. Let's see what it says in chapter 19 here. Some other modulatory techniques. Says here, altered chords, that's cool, as common chords. Sequential modulation, so modulating one after another. Modulations by common tone, that's pretty cool. Monophonic modulation, ooh. Direct modulation. The direct modulation is kind of literally just jumping. You just jump from one to the next. And then a summary. Anyway. So what do we got here? The last bit. The last bit is probably the most fun. This middle part is probably the most difficult to kind of understand. It's not difficult, but it is the most difficult to understand out of all of the stuff. In my opinion, this voice leading stuff it's easy to understand, but hard to apply. How to write. If you understand that solidly, you'll get this third little bit, no problem. But this final bit, if you understood all that, this stuff is going to be a breeze. This stuff is actually fun. If you understand all this stuff, this last bit, mixing modes, Neapolitan chord, which is just kind of like a lowered 2. It's a lowered subtonic. The augmented 6 chord, which is like a funky kind of submedian. It's a 6. The augmented 6 is referring to a different type of sixth. It's the augmented 6th interval. It's a space in between the notes that it's referring to, but it's built upon the 6th scale degree of a scale. Anyhow, there's only 3 flavors of augmented sixth chords. They're all pretty much the same. They remind me of cheese. I don't know why, but they remind me of cheese. It's just a funky, and you'll hear them once you understand them, you'll be like, oh shit, that's an augmented sixth. Everywhere. You'll hear them everywhere. It's a cool way to replace the sixth chord in a minor mode. Yeah, then they go into some stuff which I don't really think I want to teach. That's why I have these red lines here. Just enharmonic spellings, ninth chords, and jazz. They attempt to kind of teach jazz in a classical book, which I think is hilarious. And then they go into basically they don't teach you how to do it. They just show you how this classical stuff evolved into 20th century and 21st century, crazy freaking serial music, if you heard it. Quartal harmony, if you've heard of that. Milton Babbitt's Magic Square, if you've heard of that. It's they just show you some weird stuff. And I think at the end, too, which is really frustrating to me, at the end, they finally show you the harmonic series, which should be one of the first things that people learn. The harmonic series is so important, and it's so overlooked. And I think it's because they don't want to scare anybody away with spooky math, but it's actually one of the coolest freaking things ever. And if you understand the harmonic series, holy moly, does all this stuff make so much more sense. All right. Finally, we have a chapter that I wanted to add, chapter 29, which in my opinion is form. And if you can see here, these are my additions and changes to the textbook. So this is me culling out stuff. This is whatever. This is form. This is form right here. Let me show you some form. This is what they never taught us. Phrasings, couplets, double couplets, periods, double periods, all this shit. It's like a way that phrases are written. I'll go into more detail, but form is so important, and they kind of just breeze by it in the middle of the book. Again, because I don't think it's teaching you songwriting or any of that stuff. It's just meant to teach you tonal harmony. Yeah, so as we go through this, I'm going to try to explain all this stuff. I'm going to try to condense 2 whole semesters into about 30-ish videos. A video for each chapter. All right, so if you're with me, if you enjoy this stuff, if you're excited, I'm excited to see what kind of stuff I might relearn, reteach myself. I'm excited to teach you guys. Lay you out here. If y'all want more music lessons, whatever, I'll leave links in the description. I'll leave links somewhere. If y'all want to support me on this journey, I'll leave links to different places where you can support me. You can support me by disgusting. Follow, share, and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. No, all that stuff, if you want to do that stuff, is cool, but realistically, that stuff just helps the algorithm so I can get more views, which actually does help me in the long run. And I'm just trying to help people by giving information for free. So if you like me and you like my stuff, you want to hear more, then like, share, and comment, and subscribe, and support me on blah, 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 blah. But really, leave a comment, a genuine comment. If you need to understand anything further, I will do my best to dig in to that topic. They're in that comment, reply, or I'll dedicate a whole video to it. Because that's what my life is here for. That's the only purpose that I am living, is to help other people. There's pretty much no other real purpose to life other than helping others. Because if you're just living life to not help people, what are you doing, man? You're just hurting everybody? You're just stealing stuff for yourself? What are you doing? Anyway, help other people. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Blah, blah, blah. Hit that bell notification. Blah, blah, blah. And stay tuned, because we're in for a wild ride, boys. See you in the next chapter.